I read two of my most anticipated 2026 sequels and finally finished a sweater I've been working on since April. Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you about my June favorites. My name is Lily, I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and we're just going to jump into how June was, what I made, and what my favorites were. So, as always, I'm going to start off with how June was. June was good. I finally was able to do a little bit of relaxing before I traveled again, but it was really fun to kind of relax. There was a ton of heat. I know that where they're in the US and in Europe and whatever, there's all these heat waves. I'm feeling it too, just living in front of my fan. And so I'm not great during heat. I feel like the first time that it becomes not summer, it becomes like a cool down. I finally feel this kind of mental clarity. I'm not a heat person. I'm not a summer person. I'm a winter, fall person. So summer is always really hard for me to focus. So I've been kind of like pushing through it. I was able to do some traveling in June, and I will put some photos I think that I have posted on Instagram. I'm not really sure, but I was able to see Elise Kova again. Elise is one of my favorite authors. And so in general, June had so many good things for it, but it was super, super hot. And as a segue, just because it was super, super hot, it was so hard in June to finish my knitting project. If you've been following me for a couple months or for a while now, then you will know that I've been doing the Orchid Bloom sweater, and I had to finish up the sleeves in June, which I did. But wow, by the end of June, when I was finishing up the sleeves, it was so hot that I actually was having trouble knitting it. My hands were getting so sweaty, the yarn it was awful. So I had to basically retreat into the basement to finish it. But I finally finished it. I know that normally I wear the thing that I finished if I have finished anything, but oh my gosh, it is still so hot. I can't. I'm sorry, but I can't. Anyway, so this is also not entirely finished. I still need to take this collar and fold it in. I'll try to show you sort of what it would look more like this, which is going to be gorgeous. I'm going to have to get an assistant to do that. I hate stitching. If you've been following me for a while, you know that, but it'll look like this. It has this beautiful lace leafy pattern through the body. And then in the sleeves, it also has sort of lace which goes into the cuffs. I have really short arms, and so I think that you could have more stockinette if you wanted to, but I think it just goes right into the cuffs, which is really beautiful. I'll try to pull it out so you can kind of see the pattern a little bit more. It's the same pattern here as here. This is actually the first sweater I've made for myself, not in bulky yarn, and I really enjoyed it. So the sleeves were a labor of love. I got these knitting needles which were trying to they had to be really short because they have to go around your arm for the sleeve, but because of that there was one that was really long and one that was really short, and for the first sleeve I by accidentally switched those, and yes, I could have fixed this, but for some reason I was kind of like, oh, it'll get better. It never got better. I learned for the second sleeve, which went by faster. But yeah, I'm gonna do a whole video once this is actually sewn about the process behind it, what some of my, not modifications, but what some of my thoughts were, some of the things I had trouble with in this sweater. And you'll see that in a future video if you're interested, just that will just only be about knitting. But yeah, this is it. I also haven't washed it. The lace will get a little bit more relaxed, I feel like. When I wash it, it seems a little bit gathered, but that's because the lace is a full 0.5 millimeter smaller than the stockinette. But yeah, I will leave all of the nitty gritties of that for a future knitting video. I also made some earrings. I will try to put photos of that below as well, or photos of that, the links to photos on Instagram for that as well. But basically, they were all Elise Kova themed. So I was meeting Elise again. I've met Elise a few different times now, but I was meeting Elise again, and I wanted to bring some Dragon Curse earrings, and some Arcana Academy earrings. So see the photos there. For my stats for June, it was surprising. So basically, I read 44% of these featured queer characters as main characters, and only 31% of those featured BIPOC main characters. So a little bit different than normal. Normally, I feel like the stats are a little bit switched, and it's also not my target. My target is always 33 and 50. I'm really, really glad for June, the month of Pride, that I was able to up the queer books I was reading. I think it was because mostly I was trying to read a lot of physical books I have on my shelf, and because of June, I picked a lot of the queer books that I had, which I realized I haven't shown you, but these are all of the physical books I still have from June. I'm literally the worst. Here it is. I'm literally the worst at remembering to keep them for the wrap up. I normally am so good, or try to be so good, at kind of going through them, finding new homes for them, finding new reviewing homes for them, but these are the ones that I still am processing. That's probably why my stats are the way they are. I'm still really happy, but anyway, I had some really, really great reads for June. I want to start off. I'm just going to mention that I adored Prince of Swords. Prince of Swords is a sequel to Arcana Academy. I'm not going to mention it too much because it is a sequel, so it obviously has a ton of spoilers for Arcana Academy. But if you love a magical system of tarot, if you love sister relationships, and if you love an academy setting and lots of kind of backstabbing and political backstabbing, then Arcana Academy is for you. I cannot wait for the third one. The second one isn't even out, and I can't wait for the third one, so woe is me. But that's all. Oh, and the second sequel I want to talk about, which is also a series finale, I'm pretty sure, is This Blade of Ours. I adored this sequel so much. As I said, it's another sequel, so I can't talk too much about it. But if you love kind of like a Roman inspired fantasy system, which is deeply, deeply entrenched in talking about justice, and this specific sequel as well is also so committed to exploring what happens after you think that you've like done the thing, right? You think that you've toppled the system, you think that you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve, but what happens next? I find that such an intriguing question. And so that is This Blade of Ours in a nutshell. As I said, these are both sequels, so I don't want to talk too much about them. So the only two books that I can talk to you more about is The Ocean Would Paint Me Blue, which is so good. I really loved As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, and so this is from the same author, and the Ocean Would Paint Me Blue is fantastic. It is a book about the main character is grieving the loss of her mother, and she is an artist, and she loses kind of the ability to see colors in life, period. She also is going to a new boarding school where she's the only Muslim teen there, and that is obviously going to be an experience that is rife with Islamophobia and also racism, prejudice, and specifically, I think what's really interesting is that The Ocean Would Paint Me Blue looks as well at kind of like the insidious Islamophobia and racism, specifically where a lot of people are kind of like, I'm not racist or I'm not whatever, like in this New York City kind of what one might think of as like a progressive left kind of leaning city, and looks at those and looks at the biases and also you should read the trigger warnings beforehand, but still, it is such a gorgeous book about um finding our voice, finding our place, and also finding community. I really, really loved it. I cried, I laughed, like I swooned. It was such a deeply emotional, heartfelt book. I loved it more than I loved the first one, which I also really loved. So I did not know that my love had further depths to go. But anyway, The Ocean Would Paint Me Blue is so gorgeous, and I give it just all of my heart. And finally, it is The Everlasting. I have heard so much about The Everlasting. I had an arc of it, but I never got to it. But finally, I got to it because I saw that the Illumicrate sale was coming up. And wow, every everything that I heard about it is so good. If you loved, um, let's just see, if you loved like the Tasha Suri book, if you Under the Silver Sea, I think it's called. If you loved that book, and if you love this idea of lady knights, which I know was a super big of a theme last year last year when kind of the second death of Locke and Island in the Silver Sea was coming out. This one is so good. I have really loved Alex's interesting world building concepts. Specifically, I read a novella series and also little short stories from Harrow before, and so I really, really, really loved The Everlasting. It is such It is a book that consistently defied my expectations and defied where I thought the book was going to go, and I loved the way that it talks about personal it has this idea and this universal theme of kind of one person that we love versus the world. What would we sacrifice? I feel like you see this theme everywhere. Like, am I willing to let the person that I love suffer or perish for the sake of the world, for the sake of the greater good? And we see this everywhere. But I think that in the everlasting, it's about that theme. It's about standing up for what we know is right. It's about the power of stories. And there are just so many gorgeous quotes in the book about how we need to know stories from I'm good just butchering this, but about how we need to know or we need to have hope in stories from the past to inspire us in the future. And just it just was so good. I haven't written my final review for it, which is why my thoughts are a little bit all over the place, but The Everlasting was everything I wanted and more. It exactly had my brand of kind of like speculative fiction, timey-wiminess meets this kind of almost doomed love, this sort of fleeting, flickering, fragile love, the cyclical nature of life, stories, the importance of stories, and just I'm so glad I got a copy of it. I'm so glad that I finished it when I did. It is so I'm just speechless, honestly. One of my favorite reads, I think, of 2026, period, and everything that everyone said it was and more. So really, really loved The Everlasting. So annoyed that it took me so long to read it, but books wait for us, and now I've read it. So those are my favorite reads of June. I hope that you had some favorite reads as well for June. Let me know down below what some of your favorite reads were for June. And I hope you have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and year. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.